interaction and the phone call to the hospital and the beginning, the genesis of the political career. How much convincing did it take, Senator?
Well, I'm going to get down here. I think we're going to all be at the same camera level. So, I mean, I think she must have been under medication because when I called and said, here she was in the hospital, and it was like June or something, and I asked
you want to sit down and start over?
Yeah. Oh, here
get your
go.
chair. It'll look better.
And she,
I don't get down on my knees before my wife either.
Tammy, anytime.
Just kidding.
And so she said, yeah.
Oh, start over.
Well, I called her after we'd met, and we talked, and I said, would you consider running for Congress? And she didn't say no, which shocked me. So she talked it over with Brian, and I think the fascinating part, which I left out of the story, was she still had surgeries that she had to face. And she couldn't run for Congress as an active member of the military. So she had to leave the military to run for Congress. I didn't want her to leave the military while she still needed medical care. So I'm torn here as we're getting closer and closer to the filing date. And she has one last surgery on her arm. And she called me and she said, everything's fine, looks good. I do have to have an antibiotic running nonstop 24/7 for 30 days. I said, how can you run for Congress with an antibiotic running? She said, when I came to your office the first night, I had an antibiotic running under my uniform. So that's the kind of person she is.
What he's leaving out is that he actually gave me his personal number, and in case any veterans had issues, and over the course of those first 6 months, we were calling his office all the time, and it didn't matter whether they were from Illinois or not. We had a lot of, if you remember Walter Reed, administrative problems, and I said, we got another one, and so that's where the relationship.
So it became quite an alliance.
Yeah.
Oh, it was.
Hey, in both of your speeches.
I might just add, at the time, Barack was a senator.
Now in Veterans Affairs.
And we were out campaigning for Tammy together, so I have some pictures.
Representative, can you say the name of that person from the area that was married to the president?
You know, I think I want to just maintain his privacy. He's still serving, and
Okay, you didn't give it a Kurt or something?
I didn't give the name out, but he's still in the Illinois National. He's a helicopter pilot now himself.
Oh, and he's still in the military?
He's still in the military. Yep, still in the National Guard.
In both your speeches, you talked about having the Rauner Oberweis effect of two super wealthy guys, trying to run the campaign here. Can you speak to that? I mean, how big of a factor is that wealth going to be? Do you think voters legitimately ought to consider somebody's wealth?
If they're hiding and if they're not releasing their tax returns and they're hiding their, what they're paying in their taxes in the Cayman Islands, then I think voters who pay their fair share should consider it.
We've had wealthy people, Democrats, who've been elected, John Kennedy, Rockefellers. I don't hold wealth against anyone if it's legally, legitimately earned, and I assume theirs is. There's no reason to believe either Oberweis or Rauner. But I do take exception to their lack of feeling for people who are struggling. I found some people who are wealthy who still get it. They know that a lot of people are working hard and just can't keep up with it. When these two people come out against the minimum wage with all sorts of qualifications and prohibiting the minimum wage increase, that's what I regret. I kind of resent, I have to tell you. It isn't their wealth, it's the fact that they've lost touch with working people.
And to propose a 23% cut to teachers' salaries, our public school teachers, at a time when they're already struggling to serve our kids, I just think that's out of touch with the reality and where most of people in Illinois live.
And with the problems that the state has had and the Clinton administration has had, can you be enthusiastic about Governor Quinn? And do you think voters are? Or if not, how do you gin up enthusiasm?
I'm just going to talk about the issues, and I focus on serving my constituents and listening to them, and what they say is, they want good public schools, and they want to make sure that Medicare and Medicaid is protected, and the governor's worked hard for all of those issues.
Do either of you think it's a problem here that Mike Madigan wasn't here today, or do you know the reason why he wasn't?
No, let me tell you, that the Speaker, as chairman of the party, is engaged in the coordinated campaign. I talk to him regularly. It is an effort that we're all engaged in together. Don't read too much into his absence today.
He says or Steve Brown says he's out raising money.
He's been doing a lot of that lately, and I want him to keep doing it.
Out of state?
I have no idea where he is.
Okay.
Congressman, when you said the worst thing is a deserter, you mean companies that did what Walgreens was considering?
I do. If you're if you're here and you're making your money here and you're taking advantage of all of the services that we provide, and you're an American company and you choose to move to be 20% owned by a foreign nation purely to avoid paying your fair share, you're a deserter. It's unpatriotic.
Are you using that word for Bruce Rauner as well?
I think that if you are avoiding paying your fair share in this nation, then that fits.
Well, does that Cayman Islands investment issue, does that...
Well, I would like to
what
see
you
his tax right now. What I'm calling for is his tax returns.
Exactly.
Release your tax returns and
may
let's see what the deal
Can I
is.
broaden the course here? The same thing with my opponent. He has not made full disclosure of his income tax returns either. There are some things there.
Overwise?
Yes.
Let's make that the first step. Let's release the tax returns.
So you're saying you're not sure if Rauner's a deserter unless you see his tax returns?
What I want to know is what is he doing with the Cayman Islands? I have not seen the actual.
There are only three reasons to go to the Cayman Islands: secrecy, lack of federal government oversight, and avoiding taxes.
Amen.
It's only one of those three things. So he
I've
needs
wanted
to
to
come
meet you for
forward and
years.
explain
Thank you
what
for
was
your
his
service.
reason for going to
I
the
can't
Cayman
vote for
Islands.
you. I'm way down southeast.
All right.